What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Inconsequential Gaming. So today, I'm super excited because 1.4.1 is right around the corner, and I haven't even really digested 1.4.0 just yet. But still, I'm excited because we're going to get more stuff, buffs to certain items that need a little help, I guess. And then, of course, we're going to get a little bit more music, if I recall correctly, that wasn't added in the 1.4.0 update. And then we're also going to get those 5 amazing vanity sets added to the game. All lovely. Very lovely. So, what are we doing today? Well, there's a few things that I want to test personally that this challenge run. Okay, so I have some questions, and I've also seen other people's opinions on things, right? And with this challenge run, I want to do several things. Now, I don't want to talk about them just yet because first I want to see not necessarily if I'm right or they're wrong or something like that, but more so I just want to see what the evidence shows, right? So I know that sounds really cryptic and I'm really sorry, but it'll be very rewarding at the end. However, just so you know what this is all about, there's some things that I want to test in the game. I've seen opinions, right? I don't necessarily agree or disagree, but I would say on a spectrum, I lean a little bit towards the disagree, but that doesn't mean that I'm right? And it doesn't mean that they're wrong. And maybe it is somewhere in the middle, right? But I need to see. So that's what this is all about. This challenge run is for me to test some things. I had some ideas, and I want to bring them to fruition. And this will really help me answer some really big questions that I've had. Okay, so let me get one thing out of the way, right? So I know some people are probably wondering why it is that I have a Desert Tiger Minion as a starting item. Isn't that a little overpowered? And my answer would be, I don't know. That's my honest answer. I don't know. What I will say is, in hindsight, right, with everything that I've learned, in my opinion, I would say no, right? And I know, again, that might be confusing, but this I can answer. So what I will say is, when it comes to me in challenge runs, right? I like to actually play the game, okay? Now, what do I mean by that? I want to get into the game right away. And just so you know, this difficulty setting is master mode, and I'm using journey mode to kind of make things a little easier, to make things flow a little better. But I do have some restrictions on duplicating items. Like, I won't be duplicating any items in this run, and then the ones that I did were what I would consider starter items. So if somehow something gets destroyed or sold or falls in lava, whatever, mistakes happen. I'll be able to produce those items again. But I can't answer that question. So I like to get into the game. And in my opinion, I feel as though the difficulty curve in master mode kind of, I don't know, it kind of takes the player out of the game where things are happening to you and you're just trying to find a way to not die, right? At least in most cases, because I would say, of course, your starter items aren't really that great. Swarms of enemies are probably going to be attacking you, and let's be honest, you're not going to be able to fight back. So a majority of the time, you're just trying not to die. And I don't find that to be very fun or entertaining. What I like to do is get right in the game. So when something happens, I can rise to the occasion. And it'll be an interesting exchange from the very beginning. So that's the point of view I'm coming with using the Desert Tiger as a minion, as a starter minion, actually. You know, speaking about the Desert Tiger Minion, I guess I can spoil one of the questions that I want to answer. Is I want to honestly see, at least in Master Mode, where it is the strength of this this minion starts to taper off, right? I want to see at what point in the game does the Desert Tiger kind of feel like it needs an upgrade, or needs to be improved. And what makes it interesting, at least for this challenge run, is that, at least from what I know, the Desert Tiger is only as powerful as you invest in it, right? Because it's sort of a segue to Stardust Dragon, whereas it has a base strength, but you can, of course, pump more power into it by using more and more of your summoning slots. So yeah, that's one of the, I guess maybe not the biggest question, but that is one of the more interesting ones. Is I want to realistically see, with no outside influence, just my own personal opinion, and Master Mode especially, I want to see where it is that I personally feel that this item starts to kind of taper off, and I'm thinking to myself, yeah, I probably could use a power boost. Now I will say, at least in the early starting phase, it still doesn't seem overpowered. I'm not sure how it'll appear to someone else, but I mean, it definitely helps. I'll say that much. Saves my butt a few times, but like, overpowered though? I don't think so. Switching gears just a little bit, I have to say that Journey's End has been quite the experience. I've had a blast with it. I mean, I love everything, to the new visuals, to the like, as you can see, the trees, the new cloud formations, and the clouds that take certain shapes and stuff. Like, I just love all of it. And I also like how sometimes you'll see a flying or a giant air balloon in the background, or you'll see the Eye of Cthulhu roaming back and forth in the sky. So yeah, all that's, oh wait, is that a bird? That looks like a bird cloud. But yeah, I love all the little details and all the little amounts of love that went into this game. It's really cool. I guess it's also pretty important to note how drastically my relationship with this game changed with the 1.4.0 update as opposed to 1.3.5, where I kind of yeah, I would say adventuring, at least in early, well, I would say in pre-hard mode, in its early stages, like it was something I was never really a huge fan of. Like I've stated that probably like a million times. In 1.4.0, or I would say Journey's End, really changed that for me. And I don't know, I just think the improvements to early hard mode that are going to be coming with the 1.4.1 update just make the experience all the much better. Because I'll say, for example, the few things that I do know, like the upgrade to I don't think the bee nades are being touched, but the honeycomb item, and even though this would be kind of hard mode, but when you combine the honeycomb to the star veil, I think, yes, they create some kind of bee cape or something, or bee cloak. And yeah, it's like the stars were great. I mean, I think those are getting buffed too, but the stars were great. But the bees, you know, by the time you got to hard mode, like they were, I mean, the damage was appreciated, I guess, but they're kind of underwhelming. I never had an issue with them, but what I will say is if you're going to compare that item to other items, and then the question becomes, why would I choose this over something else? Or especially because it's a craftable item, so why would I craft this over something else? Then I can see, you know, why it is that you might want to give an item like that a little bit more attention. But I guess my point is, I kind of fell into a certain groove with 1.3.5 where I like to kind of do the invasions. I was going to try to get back into PvP. I just never quite got around to it because, you know, reasons I won't discuss just yet. That's another experiment that this playthrough is, well, I would say that's another question that this playthrough is going to try to answer. Anyhow, so yeah, I kind of fell into the groove of building. I was going to get back into PvP, but adventuring, I mean, I had all the items. I just wanted to kind of get the 1.4.0 items to kind of play around with them. But I never expected to fall in love with the gameplay loop. Now, keep in mind, I've always thought that the gameplay loop for Terraria was pretty good. It's just that pre-hard mode, it was kind of underwhelming. And so I would always have challenge runs, at least for myself. This is before I even started recording, but they were small little challenges where you're not allowed to do one thing or another thing. And I'm sure you've all seen challenge runs before, so they're nothing new, and I don't think I was doing anything revolutionary at the time. But it just went to show that that's kind of how I motivated myself to play 1.3.5 is I would challenge myself, because I mean, I can't say I didn't enjoy early or pre-hard mode. It's just, you know, it was a little slower than early hard mode. You know, like early hard mode was when the game really came to life for me, and it forced you to pay attention to your surroundings. And you know, I don't want to critique the game unfairly, because you know it's a different beast now. So I won't hold 1.3.5 against it. I'll just say that I'm very happy with the newer changes, and it's just all that more exciting. It gives me a reason to test out some other cool stuff in this run. If 1.4.1 comes out sooner rather than later. Man, you know, one of the things that I really love about journey mode specifically is how I would say the new gameplay cycle plays out, because, you know, speaking for myself, I like my next playthrough I like to change things up. And it might not necessarily be exactly like how I approach things, though that is the case this time. But not all the time. Sometimes you just want to change things up a little bit. So say, for example, you want your character to be wearing certain vanity items, right? Or you might want to start with a pet, right? Or you might want to start with a reasonably you know, decent minion, nothing too crazy, because say you want to be a summoner, so maybe you give yourself a slime staff right along with your finch staff, just to kind of test things out. I like how all of that stuff is right at the tip of your fingers. Like, if you have a previous legacy character, and you've done almost everything, you've seen almost everything, you've collected almost everything, it's right at the tip of your fingertips. You don't have to remember what world you left it in. Oh, did I leave it in this chest? Oh, wait a minute, was it this character who had all of this stuff? Oh, I don't remember, was it that character? It's just, hey, I got a main character, the first character that I ever used, that I beat you know, the game with 1.4.0 with. They have almost all the stuff. This is the stuff that I want to give this or that character. Put it in a chest, you know, boom, you're done. You get to start your playthrough right away. I just love how, like, the convenience, the creativity, if you want to build, like, I don't want to state the obvious, but just the idea where if you just want to build a starter home, right? You don't have to worry about, oh, well, I know I have this block or that block, the pink dungeon brick. I remember I've had it, but I got a green dungeon this time, but I want to use pink dungeon brick. What world did I leave it in? Or generating a new world just to get that type of brick and getting lucky. Like, it just cuts out a lot of that really old, unnecessary stuff. And it's not that it was essential. It's like, you don't need pink dungeon block, right? You don't need certain furniture items. But the fact that now, you know, when you're thinking about it, if you do have it with that character, you have it, like, just at the tip of your fingertips. I love that, because you get to do the playthrough the exact way you want, and you don't have to compromise. And I know, you know, it's not a super huge, well, I mean, you know what? I'm not even gonna lie. I'm saying that for the sake of, for you all who might not agree, but I'm just gonna be honest. In my opinion, I think being able to have the exact playthrough that you were hoping for and the exact items that you wanted to use, it changes things. You know, it makes you more invested. At least with me, I can only speak for myself. It makes me more invested, and it makes me more eager to play, and it magnifies the enjoyment of the game that much more. I love all the little stuff like that. It's also kind of interesting that 1.4.0 is one of the rare examples where I don't actually mine mine mining for ores and bricks and stuff. Like, it usually, okay, so I will say that at least in my first playthrough, when the updates came out, I kind of stuck to my old routine of just kind of blowing everything up. But I gotta say, I think it's a collection of things for me prior to the updates that made mining intolerable. And I think it was the slower grind, the fact that combat, at least in my opinion, wasn't necessarily that exciting, at least not in pre-hard mode, not for me. And I think once you have the ability to jump into fights and it's actually sort of like a tug of war, and it's not so one-sided where you have to try to cheese everything, or you kind of have to box yourself in, or you always have to run, or you always have to teleport to not die. Like when you can actually engage an enemy or a situation head on, it takes some of the edge off of the grind. And then I think the moments of mining for ores becomes a little more therapeutic in some cases, right? I guess it depends on a person's mood. So I would say, at least with my mood now, being satisfied with the updates and already having my first playthrough, moments like these are kind of like a way to relax, in a sense. And it's a slower, zen-like pace. Like, you know, it's one of your moments to take a breather and just kind of enjoy the sights, and appreciate the game for what it is, outside of killing things all the time. You know what I mean? I also love how much easier it is to get immersed in Journey's End. I mean, just listen to this music. It's amazing. I really love the world gen in this game. It's great. I also really like what they did with the mace weapons in this game, because I don't know, they were saying something with the state of the game address, that they were too similar to yo-yos, or yo-yos made them obsolete, or something to that extent. But I like how they're so powerful. I mean, I could say perhaps just using them briefly, because I've never really touched them before. But yeah, it's like they're so powerful. Like, the only drawback I can see perhaps is like they're difficult to control, but at least for an early game weapon, it's almost like, why not use a mace? You know what I mean? And then the only thing similar in speed that I can compare it to early game is maybe a katana, but I kind of feel like the katana with its crit bonus damage is in a class of its own. But still, like, I can't think of any other weapon that swings this fast. Like, it's pretty incredible. My goodness, this music. Oh, this music. Yeah, see, I don't mind digging that much in 1.4. It's pretty relaxing, you know? It's actually kind of funny thinking about it now. All the prep work I did in 1.3.5 in preparation for Journey's End. Yeah, I did all this preparation expecting to, you know, engage in like all those social aspects and probably just kind of getting all the new stuff and then going back to like these grandiose builds I was doing. But look at me now, out here adventuring. And speaking of music, I can't wait to get my hands on the newest release of the Terraria 1.4 soundtrack. I'm not sure if 1.4 soundtrack and what's it called, Otherworldly, are I don't know if they're separate. I haven't checked on it yet, but yes, I can't wait to. I've always wanted to collect the entire Terraria soundtrack collection or whatever, but if I recall correctly, I just have, I think, the second disc. It's whatever disc has the Rain soundtrack on it, or the Rain theme song, because that's one of my favorite tracks in Terraria. That is one of my favorite. That's the it's not a CD, but it's the song collection. I don't know what you would call it, the downloadable version. And then one of my other favorites is the underground cavern theme. Yeah, those are my two favorites, Rain and Underground Cavern. But yeah, I'm not sure if that's on that disc. It would be surprising, but I don't think I have that. I would be shocked if both of my favorites were on the same disc, but I don't know. I doubt it. And so far, I like what I'm hearing with the otherworldly tracks. That's kind of what is playing now, because I'm on a drunk world seed. So I wasn't expecting that. It kind of shocked me. I heard rumors that you could change the music on a drunk world seed by talking to the party girl, but I had no idea the tracks changed automatically. Like, I didn't know from the moment that you entered the world that the otherworldly music tracks would automatically replace the original Terraria tracks. Like, that shocked me. So the whole time I was thinking, maybe I didn't discover everything in 1.4, and these are some tracks that I missed somehow. But I don't know, it slowly started coming together when I was just like, wait a minute, there's way too many songs that are different. So, and I guess I can also say that it's another thing that I'm looking forward to is going to the newer biomes, and of course once hard mode starts, and then the infections and stuff start to spread, to kind of see what the music sounds like for those places too. So it's sort of like I'm uncovering a bunch of different secrets, like things that I'll see in this playthrough, questions that I have in this playthrough, and what new music tracks will I be surprised with in this playthrough. Like, especially, I didn't even think about the bosses. Wow, the bosses are probably going to have their own music tracks too. So yeah, like, this is going to be so much fun. I'm really looking forward to it. And the last time I checked, both music soundtracks are available on Steam. I saw them not too long ago. I don't think they advertised it on the main page, but I think I wanted to look it up to see what it looked like. But yeah, they condensed. Last time I checked, they condensed the entire original music track into one entire collection. I got mine a long time ago when they were all separate, but I'm wondering, is there going to be an addition? Are they going to add the 1.4 tracks on there? Like, is there going to be a later edition or something? I'm wondering about that. I also gotta mention how cool it is to find these jewel trees where you get a huge chunk of gems and I guess diamonds in my case. I mean, I was gonna say for free, but I mean, if you find it, I mean, it's technically treasure. So it's not free, you did earn it, but I just love it. I didn't think about it in my first playthrough because I don't know, I don't think I had any intention on using any of the gemstones or any of the diamonds, so I found the trees and I was just kind of, oh, that's cool. But like now, you know, the idea of being able to sell them or being able to, you know, make a mage weapon using them is also pretty cool because they're really easy to miss sometimes, those gems. But I won't be crafting. Yeah, this is a challenge run, so I won't be crafting any weapons in this specific run. But yeah, it's just cool that it's there. I'm probably gonna just sell them though. I want to see which is the more cost-effective, making a giant diamond or just selling the diamonds as is. I'm not sure. But yes, I won't be using them to craft anything. At least I don't think. I'm still wondering if I want to add the rule to not craft armor. But I'm not sure yet. That might be a little too ambitious. So I don't want to reach too far. I want to get at least a decent chunk through the game, see how I do without any of the craftable armors, and then decide. Because I don't know, I think at least in early hard mode and like mid hard mode, the options to find supplements to armor are a lot more plentiful, but I don't know, pre-hard mode there's really not a whole lot of options that I can think of that you can't craft armor. So I'll probably be limited to something like the ninja set, just off the top of my head, but I'm not sure yet. I'll see. I'll try to go without armor for as long as I can, and then I guess I'll decide after that. You know, with this music playing, it kind of, I don't know, I can't say that it's giving me a feeling of nostalgia, but I would say that somehow it's giving a feeling similar to nostalgia. But I really wonder, like, what would Terraria Otherworld have been like had it actually come out? And would Terraria 1.4 or Journey's End be what it is today, 1.4.0, without Otherworld's cancellation? Like, I'm almost sure we wouldn't have gotten Terraria Otherworld's music, you know. So yeah, I just wonder, because there was a lot of things that I did like about Otherworld that I saw. You know, some things I didn't really like. I had a lot of questions, mostly. Like, for example, the whole grappling hook feature. One of the ones that I would say shocked me the most is it was one trailer where it looked like there was this sort of dungeon or some type of temple that was suspended in a thunderous atmosphere, and the person was grappling hooking, using the grappling hook to kind of get across the underside of this dungeon or temple in this like stormy atmosphere. And one of the questions I had is there a long period of the game where a player goes without wings? Because, you know, just assuming that in Terraria Otherworld, all of the mushroom biome, it's so pretty. But yeah, just assuming that yeah, like let's say that I can't even assume there's a hard mode, but okay, let's theorycraft. So let's say that Terraria Otherworld was divided into phases, just like the original game. And there was something like a hard mode, right? But everything's bigger, right? I'm assuming everything's bigger. Everything's probably a little longer. There's probably more bosses, things like that, right? So these are just assumptions, right? But I'm kind of curious. Yeah, one of the things that I always wondered about that game, was there an extended period that you went without wings? Let's assume this is all pre-hard mode, and you had to rely on things like grappling hooks and other equipment to move around a little bit more. Because I would say in Terraria, a lot of the movement accessories, they're not essential, but they are cool. Like, they'll save your life sometimes. Some are a little bit more essential than others. Like, for example, I would say most people would agree that the cloud in the bottle items are kind of essential, but you can get away without using them. Whereas, like, the climbing claws and stuff, they're cool, but you don't need them per se, right? Like, you're probably better off getting a grappling hook. So it's sort of like those things are cool, but I'm wondering with Otherworld, were the maps built in such a way where some things were inaccessible, like cloud, I would say like the cloud, the floating cloud islands, right? But you could still get to them early hard mode. It was just really dangerous, and you had to use your grappling hook in a really clever way to get there. I'm wondering if it was something like that, you know? But yeah, I really liked the gameplay that I saw. I couldn't tell what was going on all the time, you know, because you can only assume, but it looked like there was a lot of tower defense going on there, like something similar to the old one's army, but probably a little bit more common. I do wish, I would say that at least there was one more type of tower defense in Terraria aside from just the old one's army, but I don't know, I guess the tiers are good enough. Like, if you participate in it through all of the phases, of a standard game or a standard playthrough, it will feel different. You'll feel the gradual difficulty spike. So I mean, it serves its purpose, but I don't know. I just thought it would be interesting to have different enemies and stuff, like, cause I don't know, like, so I'll say that maybe it's just me being a little greedy, because I often think like, man, it would be so cool to use the sentries and turrets outside of Old One's army, and you can do that. They are pretty fun. I've done it. It's just that for a different event, one that isn't necessarily that event, it would be cool. But at the same time, I have used them in different invasions. I've used it, I believe, in the Halloween invasion, Pumpkin Moon, and I've also used it during a Frost Moon. I would say it was a little... Well, hold on. I also used it against the eclipse, the solar eclipse. That's right. And it was really effective. I would say it was somewhat effective during the Pumpkin Moon, but I would say once I got around towards the Frost Moon event, it stopped being nearly as effective because a lot of the threats kept alternating between airborne and on the ground. So it's kind of hard to... I would say with those sentries, you don't have to stay in one place, but to get the most out of it, you kind of want to be not necessarily stationary, but you want to set up shop, if that makes any sense. Like, you want to sort of have a zone that you cover so that enemies are always, like, at least within range, of your sentries, so they're doing, the damage that you want them to do. But I would say with a Frost Moon, that's kind of dangerous, like, because you can easily get sandwiched between a Santa tank, a Everscream, and an Ice Queen, and like that's the last thing you want to happen, because you'll just get blended to death, especially in master mode. Like, so they're good. Don't get me wrong, like they were beautifully like effective in a solar eclipse. Like, I really enjoyed it. Pumpkin Moon also somewhat really good, but once Pumpkin comes out, you kind of have to take to the air. At least that's the most effective way to fight him. If you want, if you're doing it to get items or and things like that, so you want to kind of focus on him, because he's not nearly as difficult as Ice Queen, in my opinion. So to get the goodies, like if that's why you're doing it, you want to be killing him. If, like, I would say, usually when I'm playing, I divide the event up into two parts. First, if I'm doing it as a summoner, my first focus is probably Morning Wood. Like, I want to try to get as much wood as possible. And then the event, it goes however it goes. I don't really care. Maybe I'll kill 1 or 2 pumpkins. But after that, if I go back, I mostly want the goodies. So I'll kill the Morning Woods just to get the event going, but I'll mostly focus on killing pumpkins to get his loot, to either use or sell. So yeah, anyway, I was just kind of wondering with Terraria Otherworld, were there going to be more events similar to Old One's army? I don't know. It seemed like it was fun. Like, Otherworld seemed like it had its own turret sentries. Like, it looked like it had ones that actually shoot bullets and stuff. I don't know. It just looked really cool. Tower defense, I believe, for this type of game is really fun. And I would assume that they had different styles of like fights, but I don't know. I just wanted to make it clear that I'm not complaining. I think Old One's army does its job. It doesn't have to. There doesn't have to be a whole lot of events similar to that one, because all of the events so far are kind of unique in their own ways. And the invasions. Oh, I never got to use the turrets or the sentries in a pirate invasion. I still want to try to do that. That seems like it'll be a lot of fun. Actually, you know, I did use them. I just didn't. I only had one, I think, and then by the time I had the armor that allows you to summon more, I think I pretty much had gotten everything that I wanted. But I think that's another event that'll be fun, or probably even a goblin invasion. So I might try something like that. I might try a challenge run where I give myself access to more sentries. This one kind of is like that, but I'm not sure how far it's gonna go. So maybe I might experience that sooner than later. I don't know, but yeah, I just wonder like what types of enemy invasions and types of combat styles did Otherworld have. Yeah. I just kind of wonder because it looked really fun. I couldn't tell everything that was going on, but it looked like it had a decent amount of tower defense events, and it looked pretty exciting. You know, I'm also wondering, there were these weird looking stones that had like runes on them, like I want to say ancient runes, but I don't know. Like I mean, like I don't think the game is ever coming out, so I don't know why I'm being so hard on myself about assuming certain stuff, because you know it's no longer being developed. So. But I'll just say, so there were these ancient looking runes in certain screenshots, and I don't know, I don't want to assume that they were the original pylons, because at least the way that pylons were developed, it was one of the it was the insider developer's idea that he got passed or something like that. I'm not sure exactly which developer it was, so I don't want to say a name. I have a suspicion of who it was, but I don't want to give credit to the wrong person, so I won't say. But I think it was not a last minute idea, but like one that got pushed through because it was so clever. And at the same time, I was really curious about those archstones. But then we also got those strange portal potions. I haven't messed with them yet. Like, I've just been collecting them because, at least from the way that they sound, they're sort of like a collection, or I would say a mixture of wormhole potions and recall potions. Something similar. Like, there were these scroll items in a game called Diablo, really old game. And basically what it does is it allows you to leave from the exact position that you are back to the overworld. And then once you're done doing whatever it is that you wanted to do in the overworld, you can come right back through the portal and it'll take you right where you left off. So at least from what I read, that's what it seems like it does. I haven't used one yet, so this is me just assuming. But I would think that those archstones, you know, at least me assuming that they did something either similar to what pylons do or to what those teleportation potions do, because nobody got credit for those. So I'm wondering, were pylons just a better idea and they say, hey, you know what, let's just make these potions and then make the other things an actual like in-game item you can earn, you know, of course with NPC happiness. So, you know, I don't know, it was just something I was wondering, like, were pylons a Terraria Otherworld feature that wound up getting passed down to journey mode, or I'm sorry, to Journey's End, because you know, Otherworld did get developed. I don't know. I just have questions like that. Man, the mushroom biome is so pretty. Like everything in Journey's End is so pretty. Like it just makes me wonder, like I was never a fan of Otherworld's art style, and I'm still curious till this day what made them want to go in that direction. I guess that's probably why it got canceled, you know. But I'm just saying, like, as good as Journey's End looks, like what possessed them to want to use that style? I think, you know, to be honest, I think I would have gotten used to it. It just, I don't know, it just seemed really off. But perhaps if I'd seen more, I could have probably gotten into it. Because, you know, the more I looked into the game, like there was a period where I just I wasn't interested in Otherworld at all. Like Terraria was my only concern. I was like, I don't know if I really want a quote unquote sequel or a spin-off. Like Terraria's fine as is. Like if they want to sell me on a spin-off or sequel, they're gonna have to do something groundbreakingly amazing that makes me say, oh well, I definitely need to get that game. And it kind of makes me wonder if a lot of the ideas that got cut from Otherworld made it into 1.4, where basically like 1.4 is somewhat, you know, not everything, because I know there's some things they wanted to do. They wanted to have underwater combat where, you know, you're fighting sharks and it's like a part of the adventure, whereas, you know, here it's like only a bite-sized portion. So yeah, I don't know. Like I think, you know, it also makes me wonder, like, would space have been a place that you can explore a little bit more vastly? Like, would it have been like its own biome? You know, things like that. Once I started thinking about the game like that, I got excited about it just out of nowhere. Party girl's in the way. But yeah, I just got excited about it out of nowhere. So, I don't know, it just made me wonder, like, if Otherworld... Well, okay, so I'll say this. If Journey's End, if 1.4.0 is sort of like a bite-sized morsel of what Otherworld was gonna be, I think I could have gotten over the terrible art style. Like, just to be honest, like, I didn't really care for it. But if we would have gotten this, like to me, the gameplay, I'll admit, it's a collection of everything. It's the art style, it's the music, it's the atmosphere. Everything just kind of works, you know, better. They re-sprited everything to make it look all up to date. So a lot of love went into the game, even like with little details. Like I even found out today on the forums that using the Brain of Confusion item with the which one is it? The Dark Artist set, I think, has its own special animation for when the Brain of Confusion takes effect, and it shoots out flames instead of like little grains. Like I found that, you know, it's what I'm saying is that's just sort of like a description of the little details, the little bits of love that went into this game that was built on because they knew it so well. So what I'm wondering is, was that same type of love supposed to go into Otherworld? And if that's the case, like, did we really miss out? Because don't get me wrong, I love 1.4. Like, I think it's beautiful, it's amazing. But I often wonder, if would I trade a bad art style for what this game is, plus all the parts that are kind of underdeveloped, like the ocean biome is kind of it's cooler, don't get me wrong, it's better, but it's not like the underground mushroom biome, right? It's not like the underground hollow, right? It's not like the jungle, it doesn't have the same identity as some of the other places in the game. So in space, like, even if space, well, I'll say this, that temple or dungeon suspended in the air, I'm sure they were going to do something with that. So what I'm saying is, maybe there were going to be whole entire just biomes. Like, they took everything that was great about this game and they just said, you know what, let's just go bigger. Biomes for you. Space has its own biome. Just like the underworld, like, there's a difficulty spike when you go there, and there's a whole sets of enemies there, and then there's sets of invasions there that can only happen in space, and maybe there's only stuff that can happen in the underworld, and then maybe there's stuff that can only happen in the ocean biome. Like, I'm sure they went super big with that game. There was even a checklist, sort of like, I always compare it to Skyrim, but there was this sort of journal entry type setup where you had a mission and it looked like the boxes got checked every time you did something that was on a list, and it was something to the extent of building a house, the specific size you have to do, add furniture, and for everything that you did, the game slowly taught you how to play. And I think you got some sort of achievement for it. But just thinking about, man, how far did they plan to go with Otherworld? And is 1.4 sort of like a small portion of that? Like, it's just cool to me to think about stuff like that. I actually missed one. Alright. Well, yeah, I just, yeah, I'm wondering now, should I go back to building? I was making some really cool things. I had a lot of cool ideas. But, I don't know, just adventuring is so much fun. And I like to do what I enjoy in this game. And I did start to find a love for building, but I don't know, my first love in most games is just exploring and adventuring, and there's still so much I don't know and so many questions that I have, just with the exploring and adventuring part, about weapons and armor and different ways to play the game. I still haven't done Terraria golf yet. So yeah, there's just a whole bunch of game that I want to play, and I know building. I've saw there's some cool new blocks. I've seen that, and I do want to get my hands on them. But I'm just having so much fun just exploring in this game that I don't want to stop. Just because I feel obligated to build stuff, but I do want to get back to it. I feel like, at least in 1.3.5, building was an in-game thing for me. Blood Moon. I want some stuff from that. But yeah, for me, it's just building was sort of like the well, I've done almost everything. I've seen almost everything. And this is 1.3.5 I'm talking about. I'm not really that excited, about exploring. Like, I've done it already. So yeah, building was sort of like, yeah, it was kind of the thing that I did. Now, it was definitely fun. I was getting into the territory of, I do build adventure maps, but I was getting into the territory of no longer making adventure maps. These were exploration maps where it was more about sightseeing. It was about finding cool stuff. So what was interesting is I was trying to create that experience. Here, well, I guess I gotta get that out somehow. But yeah, I was trying to create that experience in the original game. In 1.3.5, but come to find out, the developers were trying to create that very same thing too. So it was almost like no point. Like, I would say the entire agenda behind my builds was to say, hey, Terraria can be more. You can explore and you can find cool stuff. But the developers were thinking the same thing. So I want to see what it is that they want to show me. And it's less about what it is that I want to do. But here we go. All right. Blood Moon time. Whew, that was intense. And as you can see, that answered my question. I would say that, at least with the difficulty setting, I appreciate that exchange. I almost died. The party girl almost died. And though I would say the Desert Tiger helped a lot, and I would say that the Desert Tiger is probably a huge reason why it is that we survived this exchange, but it just goes to show that I actually got to play. I don't think, at least from the items that I have outside of the Desert Tiger, that I would have been able to engage that event. The only answer to that was to wall off everything, was to lock myself inside the cabin and just wait it out. Because there would have been no way, I don't think, especially coming from both sides, that I would have been able to fight off that zombie horde. Like, there would have been no way. So, as you can see, I actually got to play the game. And I would say, at least from my experience with that event, it was about even. The monsters were powerful, but so was I, sorta. And I almost died. And the party girl almost died. So it was a very even match. There's some things I probably could have did differently. But yeah, as you can see, I actually got to play the game, and that's exactly the question that I want to answer. Is the Desert Tiger overpowered? I don't think so. No, not really. But anyhow, going back to my building rant, I do have some new ideas that I want to try out for 1.4.1. I didn't quite get to do them in 1.4.0 because, of course, the updates are so close together. But I'm sure the game will pretty much be kind of the same. There'll be some new additions. I think it'll affect adventuring more than it will building, I believe. But there are some rumors that echo walls and echo platforms are being added. Now, I haven't had a chance to use those, but from the light research that I did do, they're invisible blocks. And you know, there's a lot of utility, like cosmetic utility I can see being used. Aside from cosmetic, maybe a cool feature where you know, you have the whole Indiana Jones thing where the player won't die if they walk over a certain portion of the map, but they won't know it because it just looks like a hole. You know, there's cool stuff that I wanted to do in some adventure maps that I had. Now, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to come up with a different idea. I think, you know, maybe I think something like that might be worth kind of squeezing in, but I wanted my adventure map to be a love letter to 1.3.5 and to kind of not add any of the new stuff there, just to kind of show love to what it is we already had. And that's sort of like the theme of that adventure map. But I feel like those echo blocks for a certain part of the map that I want to make are almost too good not to use. And I did have a clever idea of how I was going to get around that, but I don't know. Echo blocks are great. I can't deny that. But yes, as far as building is concerned, I think a few things are going to be changed. Perhaps picnic tables might become a little bit more user-friendly. There's some bug fixes that I think need to happen with wiring that 1.4 caused, I think. You know, just little small things, but I think the rest of it, of the additions, are going to be for adventuring. And I don't think I'm nowhere close to being done exploring Terraria as far as the adventuring side is concerned. So, I don't know. It's one of those things where I'm looking forward to it. Oh, and then golf too kind of has to do with building. So, I'll get to building. I just don't want to rush it. Again, I didn't expect adventuring to be so much fun, but trust me, there will come a point where the game won't get boring, but I'll get to the point where it's like, I've pretty much seen everything and I've done everything, so let me finish building this or that map. And I will get to it, but I'm just having too much fun. Like, I always just wanted to play the game, to be honest with you. Like, the experience that I'm getting now in 1.4 was the experience that I was chasing in 1.3.5. But as I say every time, it was early game, like pre-hard mode. I know most people love it. They say that it's the best part of the game. I didn't agree. I thought it was the weakest part. Adventuring was kind of a hassle. it was all this grinding. That's one of the reasons that I like journey mode, is because it takes away a lot of that grinding of like requiring way too much metal to make armor that's not even that good. And you know, I want to say boring, but trust me, it's not boring. It's just not as good as hard mode is what I'm saying. And then lastly, I want to get around to finishing up my mini games. There's 2 more that I wanted to create on the latest map that I've been working on, or I was working on before the updates hit, in preparation for 1.4.0. Yeah, there's some mini games that I was making, and I do want to. They're pretty much done. I wanted to build a scoreboard and a leaderboard, and I think that was a really complex machine that at the time was beyond my skill level, but I wanted the mini games to just be functional. So they're functional now, like they're really functional. I just want to improve the scoring system because I feel like it's a bit primitive now that we have Terraria Golf. Like it's good, but it's one of the things, like it's still kind of primitive. I wanted to kind of be in the same league as something like the Terraria Golf game. And then I had a few more that I wanted to create. So yeah, I'll get around to building. It's something that I'm still pretty excited for. So the love for building hasn't quite left me. I would just say my thirst for adventure is much stronger than my love for building is at the moment. And jackpot. Nice. Oh, Terraria. Oh. Yep. That's exactly how it goes. Do something really cool like fight off a blood moon on your first night just to be killed by a boulder. It wouldn't be Terraria if stuff like that didn't happen to you. Anyhow, I'm really enjoying this challenge run. I hope you are too. Thank you very much for joining me today. Thank you for watching. I'll be continuing this in a split up series, probably adding more challenges later on. I'm not sure just yet, but again, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you all next time. Later.